Hi, I'm Grady Culhane, CapeCod.com News Center, and this is Sunday Journal. Today I'm joined by a special guest from Barnstable Land Trust. Do you mind introducing yourself for our listeners?
Good morning. I'm Janet Milkman. I'm the Executive Director of the Barnstable Land Trust.
Thank you so much for joining us in studio for this conversation today.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
So it is the 40th anniversary for Barnstable Land Trust, my understanding, and you guys just had a large celebration this during the beginning parts of June as we're kicking off the summer season. Wanted to do a quick retrospective, ask more about how that event went. I know you raised a lot of funds, so we wanted to dive in, kind of look back on it, and then we'll talk more about how those funds are utilized going forward.
Right. So we, this past weekend, celebrated in a lot of ways. It was National Trails Day, and so we started our Hike Barnstable Challenge, which is a 3-month-long challenge for anyone who wants to sign up and hike 40 miles over that 3 months. And we also had the Tour de Barnstable, which is our 38-mile bike ride, which we do every year with Sea Sports Cyclery and Devo Cycling. And that was on Sunday. It was a wonderful day. Lots of hardy cyclists out there battling 20-mile-an-hour winds and raising money for Barnstable Land Trust. So it was wonderful, even if not ideal conditions, but just a great event.
It's an event for people hardier than I, but it's a great mission that you guys have, and it's wonderful to hear that you guys raised lots of money. And I wanted to talk more as well about, well, first of all, this ongoing challenge. It's the 3 month is the whole summer, so that's not actually over yet.
Yes.
Can you elaborate more for people who might be interested? I believe it's a self-paced challenge, if you can elaborate.
It is. It's a self-paced challenge. You can sign up on our website, which is blt.org. And look for the Hike Barnstable information. And you just sort of enter in the miles that you walk as you do them. And then at the end, you get a nice certificate. And the satisfaction of having walked in some beautiful places in Barnstable. You can also use our trail maps. A lot of people don't know there's wonderful trails in Barnstable. And we have published actually 4 maps now. I have 2 here. There's over 95 miles of trails just in the town of Barnstable. Wow. And we have them all mapped out. So those 2 are available at almost every library in the town. Every village library should have them by now. The town hall has them, and we have them in our office, which is 1540 Main Street in West Barnstable.
Now, I'm an avid hiker myself. I have a bit of a bum knee, but I do try to get out there whenever possible. And I even wasn't aware of how many miles of trails there were in Barnstable. Is this something that has been an ongoing project essentially for the town and you guys for a while? Is documenting everything, creating these trails even?
We just had a wonderful supporter who thought it would be a great idea to have a trail map for the town, and we thought it was a great idea too. So we produced these maps a couple of years ago. The town had never done them before, but now they're very excited about it. And actually, most of the trails are on town of Barnstable lands. So Barnstable Land Trust owns about 750 acres, and the town owns about 11,000 acres. So a few of them are on our own properties, and most of them are on town properties.
So as well, you raise money for this most recent fundraiser, and this is an ongoing event as well. But what is it that you guys do from the Barnstable Land Trust point of view? In addition to some of these trails, what are some of the other activities you provide, or some of the other services that you are involved in?
Well, our mission, first of all, is to protect and preserve the special places, the natural places in Barnstable for current and future generations. And that's been our mission since 1983, 40 years ago when we began. And so any money that we raise and any sort of engagement or outreach that we do is all focused around helping people enjoy and understand the value of our natural resources on Cape Cod.
Now, we've spoken with a lot of people from local chambers of commerce as well as politicians, and they will exemplify and talk about the fact that one of our major exports is actually the local environment.
Right.
Do you second this opinion? Do you think that's heavily involved in the local economy?
Yeah, you hear people say a lot, the environment is our economy on Cape Cod, and whether it's, aquaculture, or fishing, or tourism. People come here because it is beautiful and it is special, and we have to keep it that way, both for people who visit, but also for the people who live here year-round.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's Barnstable Land Trust, but we have the entirety of Cape Cod, and I'm East Ham. I'm a big fan of the National Seashore. Do you guys partner with other organizations to highlight other trails or any other outdoor activities in general?
We do, and actually, as part of our 40th anniversary, and although we started it last year, we are really trying to work with the other land trusts on Cape Cod and other conservation organizations. There's more than 20 of them. Last year, we launched something called First Day Hikes, and there were 11 organized hikes on January 1st, all across the Cape. Lots of land trusts hosting them, and they're all free, and it was just a great way to start the year. And so, we do work with the other organizations across the Cape, whether it's around advocacy or programming or communications, trying to tell our story. We really try and do that, and we're working hard to do more of that.
Mm-hmm. Now, 40 years, that's quite the milestone. Is there any particular, I mean, I'm assuming that the COVID-19 pandemic is going to be the forefront answer, but major challenges that you've overcome over these past 4 decades. I'm sure there's been all kinds of changes or major developments. What do you think has been the high points for the organization, as well as some of those challenges you've overcome?
Well, I think the high point always is that the citizens of Cape Cod believe so strongly in conservation. They are all so connected to this place and so supportive of land conservation. So the people who live here are always in support of protecting land, whether the town does it or a land trust does it. So that's been a highlight for over 40 years. The challenges, of course, are trying to keep up with the pace of development and making sure that we keep what's special and beautiful about our little vulnerable peninsula here. And so, that was why the Land Trust began in 1983. All of them started around that time when there was a huge development boom on Cape Cod, and that's why we're still working, and that's why there's still work to do. There's actually only about 14% of the land area of Cape Cod is left up for grabs, either for development or conservation. So most of that, I would say 80% of that, according to a report by the Cape Cod Commission and the Association to Preserve Cape Cod, most of that is in really important areas for water quality protection and for habitat protection. So we still have a lot of work to do. It may seem like Cape Cod is built out. It may seem like we've saved a lot of land, and both of those are true, and yet there's more to protect.
That is great to know about, the fact that I didn't realize that we were so tight in terms of what leftover land there is despite all the developing. So it's very interesting to note. Going forward, do you work with policymakers as well and local town officials in terms of how to utilize some of this remaining land?
Very closely, yes. Very closely with the town, with more recently with our state legislators. There's some really good incentives in Massachusetts for landowners to conserve their land. So there's a state tax credit, there are federal tax deductions, and we know a lot about that, and we can help landowners figure all that out so that it doesn't have to cost them to do something good with their land if they don't want to see it developed. There are really good ways of helping them get value out of the land.
That is very interesting. As well, it's the 40th anniversary. This is by no means the end of the celebrations. As far as I'm aware, this is a full year, full season adventure. Do you mind highlighting some of the other seasonal activities that you guys are going to be doing in the summer for our listeners?
Yeah, we have some really exciting, fun, new things coming up. The closest thing is the Flower Pot Music Festival, which is going to be at Ropes Field in Katuitt. Again, it's a free event. All are welcome. I believe it's the solstice day, so June 21st in the evening, 5 o'clock. We are doing that in cooperation with the Cape Symphony And it's an interactive event. Everybody gets to make music together. Also, another partner is Cape Cod Can, which helps provide inclusive and accessibility for all populations, and they are also partners with us on this event.
That is very interesting. As well, actually, just to jump on you mentioned accessibility, and I
Yeah.
do want to bring up that we have a demographic on Cape Cod that is on the older side.
Yeah.
I myself, I'm a younger folk, but I also have somewhat reduced mobility as well. So it is. Do you mind highlighting some of the things that you guys are doing to kind of incorporate accessibility into the way you guys provide your trails, your services in general?
Right. So one of the things is partnering with organizations like Cape Cod Can, but another is to actually make our trails more accessible to people with physical and other disabilities, or differently abled people. So we are hopefully going to be able to provide the first all-access trail at our own office. Not immediately, these things take time, but within the next couple of years, we hope to have that be an all-access trail, meaning that you can put a walker on it, you can comfortably use a wheelchair on it, and so the access to these beautiful places will be able to be shared by everybody.
That is awesome. Is it a matter of getting is there permitting and contractors involved just to make sure there's like ramps and things?
Yes, permitting,
Fantastic.
contracting. There's standards for the width of the trail, the evenness of the trail, the materials that the trail is made of. All of those things we need to take into account and want to do it right, so there's no issues, and so that's what we're embarking on now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So as well, there's plenty of events throughout the season as
Yeah.
well, but you guys go into, I believe, all the way into the fall.
Yes.
Do you have any other things you wanted to highlight for our listeners, even if they're a bit further out?
Absolutely. So in addition to the Hike Barnstable Challenge, which was just launched, we are doing something really exciting this fall, which is around Thoreau's Cape Cod, the book that Thoreau wrote after visiting Cape Cod several times in the 1800s. And so we have a lot of events around that. The biggest event is our Thoreau's Cape Cod Readathon, which is October 7th and 8th. And some people may be familiar with the Moby Dick Readathon or Ulysses Readathon that other places do. So this is an event where we actually read the whole book over 2 days, and we'll have probably 90 readers reading 5-minute sections of it, and we're going to do it at our beautiful new Michael R. Kramer Center, our new barn at Fuller Farm. And
Oh, yes. Yeah, you have this new barn as well. Actually, one of the questions I meant to ask you was actually, how is this new facility faring as of late? It's a bit of a new acquisition, I believe. Can you elaborate more, actually highlight how you guys acquired this and what its services provide?
Yes, so this is a new building on a 22-acre farm that we purchased in 2012 from a woman named Barbara Fuller, who, lucky for us and everyone else, really wanted to keep the farm a farm. And it's, with such a large and beautiful property, it's sort of an unusual thing, and we're so grateful to her for her vision. So since we purchased the property, we've been trying to think about how best to bring back the agricultural history and use of the property. The first thing we did was we partnered with an organization called Resilient Roots, which is a nonprofit that focuses on permaculture gardening. So they have a 3/4 of an acre plot that is starting to get really beautiful. And they do a lot of education and programs around permaculture and regenerative agriculture. So those are often going on at the barn. And then we decided that the barn would be a wonderful way of centralizing our own land stewardship operations. So since we own 750 acres and we monitor another 450, and as a land trust are committed to taking care of those properties forever, taking care of them has become a bigger and bigger job and requiring more and more equipment. And so now we have this incredible barn where we can store our equipment and maintain it, and also use it as an education space and do our own programming there. And we've started doing some this spring. It's been a wonderful space. It's a sort of an indoor-outdoor space, and beautiful indoor as well as outdoors. It's a post and beam construction, and just a fantastic, very visible place for people to get to know what's important about the nature of Cape Cod.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much. That we are about coming up on time now, unfortunately, but is there anything else we wanted to highlight for our listeners, either upcoming events or other services you guys provide, or just ways that the money you guys raised is going to help out some of the local conservation efforts?
Yeah, we have some great projects both ready to close and also in the pipeline. I would just encourage anyone who has land that they are thinking about conserving or knows of a property that ought to be in conservation to come talk to us. We are at blt.org. My email is janet@blt.org. You can come by our office, which is 1540 Main Street in West Barnstable, anytime. We'd love to see you. We'd love to hear from you. You can be part of the conservation solution on Cape Cod, and help everyone enjoy what's most special about our wonderful place here.
All right, Janet, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Grady.
I'm Grady Culhane, and this has been Sunday Journal.